Hi guys, so today's video is going to be my November and December TBR. I recently did a story time video where I talked about an unexpected surgery that I had to have, and as a result of that surgery, it has just thrown off everything so much. I, like many people, feel like I cannot catch a break in 2020. I'm not trying to get all sad and everything, but many of you know that earlier this year, starting in March up until August, I became my dad's caretaker and he passed away. And those months were very difficult for me. But after that, I was trying to kind of get back on my feet because obviously I was not able to read as much. I wasn't able to post as consistently and other such things. So I finally felt like I was getting back on track. I finally felt like I was getting back to a groove in some sense. And then my body was like, hey, guess what? How about you take some kind of physical toll this time? And I was like, well, all right. I had that happen. I had to have surgery. And that was right after being out of town. And I'm just like, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I decided that I'm going to take a bunch of the books that I have had on TBRs that I want to get to, that I think I can read in November and December, as well as some books that I would like to pick up that I would have picked up on those months' TBRs. That's kind of what I was planning. I'm going to list a lot of books off. I'm not going to go into too much depth about a lot of these, but I just want to give you all an overview of what I'm planning on reading up through the end of the year. Then in December, I'll give you an update about some fun stuff that I have planned for 2021, unless something else is going to happen. All things going well, I will have some fun reading plans for 2021. And so in December, I'll kind of let you guys know about that. But in the meantime, for today, I'm going to let you know what I want to read for November and December. If you're new here, then just a heads up, I read primarily fantasy, but I'm actually going to start with a couple that are not fantasy, one of which would be The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead, and then Bandits by Elmore Leonard, which are quite different stories. Obviously, The Underground Railroad is a very impactful read that is kind of a metaphor for a lot of modern day issues, but told through the lens of the time period with the Underground Railroad, but as if the Underground Railroad actually was an underground railroad. I have heard nothing but great things about this. It was one of my husband's favorite books of this year, so I'm planning on picking that one up. And then Bandits, Elmore Leonard is one of my husband's, it's kind of like a hit or miss author, but he has read some by him that he really, really liked, and I had wanted to read this as a buddy read with a bunch of you, / with my husband for the month of his birthday back in August, and I did not get around to it. So I would like to get around to it before the end of the year. Another buddy read book that I have wanted to read since it was on the buddy read list would be Sailor Moon. This is a manga. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with the anime. I absolutely adore it. Fun fact, I recently went to GameStop because I had my eye on a Sailor Moon t-shirt from them months ago, and I went back in to see if they had it. And they didn't, but they had this shirt, so I got this one instead. I had a store credit because I had pre-ordered Ghost of Tsushima for my birthday back in March. I went to pick it up when it was released, and then they had sold it before I could come pick it up, and I was like, dude, what the heck? It was a whole ordeal. I was very frustrated, but they gave me my, $10 for my pre-order down payment as a store credit, so I had some store credit, and I got this shirt, and it's awesome on the back. Not that any of you care, but anyway, Sailor Moon. I love Sailor Moon. I've been wanting to read it for a while. I really want to get to the manga, so that's on the list. Another buddy read book was City of Girls. This is one of my friend's favorite books, Deshauna, from the channel Deshauna C. So if you want to know more about this book, I'll have her channel and specifically her video linked where she talks about it. It is a story of an older woman telling a younger woman her life story because this older woman had some kind of connection to the younger woman's father. And also, as far as the buddy reads go, I have been sponsored by the app Sans. I have talked and sang their praises throughout the year because they're an awesome buddy reading app. So if you are looking to buddy read, definitely check them out. They've kind of sort of rebranded themselves a little bit. Their whole look is a little different. They have so many upgrades, which is something I love about this app. Unlike Goodreads, they actually take user feedback and try to improve the app, which I think is fantastic because it is newer and they're doing everything they can to make it top notch. You can list things as want to read, currently reading, or read. There's different chat rooms for the different sections that you're in. There's an ongoing chat as well as a specific area where if you want to chat spoilers about something, you can. And in certain chat rooms, it's like forbidden to talk about spoilers, which is really cool. It's a great way to do buddy reading at your own pace. And also, it's not really set up to elevate individuals the way that some, like Goodreads, you like follow people. It's not really like that. It's really about the books and the buddy reading, which I think is great. And one of the new features, which I love, is that you can go back and edit your, if you've been typing something and you hit, send or whatever, and you're like, oh shoot, I have a really dumb typo in there, you can go back and edit it, unlike Twitter and Instagram. So I just love that they have all these little improvements that they're making on the app. Definitely check them out. They are fantastic. Next up, getting into some fantasy now, we have Night Watch. This is, I think, paranormal fantasy primarily, but it is a translated work. It's originally in Russian. I would like to read more translated works. It was one of my main points when I did my Time 100 Best Fantasy, the reaction to that whole thing. I talked about the fact that they were mostly, they're mostly American and British authors and works with a couple of translated things mixed in. And I know that there are a lot of fantastic fantasy translated works. If you have any recommendations, let me know. I have a few on my list that I want to pick up next year, but if you have some, definitely let me know. Next up, just rapid fire, we have Warcross, Reign the Earth, and Mask of Shadows. These are all some YA fantasy books that I've been wanting to pick up. They're all first books in series, and I've heard pretty good things, but I haven't heard a ton about them, but I definitely want to get around to them. Next up is some adult fantasy and sci-fi. We have Best Served Cold, which is in Joe Abercrombie's First Law world. I have been wanting to read this for forever, and for so long I couldn't find it at my local used bookstores, and Leanna from the channel Leanna's Library was nice enough to send it to me, which was so kind of her, but also one of my patrons sent me a copy. So if you are somebody who, like me, was having a hard time finding it, I do have a used paperback copy. I'm going to do a giveaway for that. So just comment down below and leave a little sword emoji in your comment, and that's how I'll know you're entered. This will be, unfortunately, US only. I'm really sorry about that. Next up, we have some really chunky books. We have Priory of the Orange Tree, which was on my October TBR, and I just don't see myself getting around to this one before the end of the month, so I have that one. And then Rhythm of War, the chunkiest of them all, and also the one everybody's the most excited about. Believe me, when that book comes out, I am very apologetic to all of you who are not Sanderson fans, because that week it will be nonstop Rhythm of War content, and I've been doing this thing where, as much as I can, I've been putting up Sanderson content on Saturdays or Sundays. So if you're interested in seeing more Stormlight or more Sanderson content, I will have my playlist linked down below. Next up, we have The Bitter Twins. This is the second book in a series that I feel is a hidden gem. I actually already started this one because I'm such a mood reader, and I really, really, really could not wait to pick this one up. The first book, Ninth Reign, I read not too long ago and loved, and have pretty much heard no one else talk about it, but when I reviewed the first one, so many people that have read it were like, it just gets better, which I was so excited to hear, and I recommend watching my review because I can't explain it briefly. There's just so much to it. It's so unique. It's so interesting. Takes some familiar things about fantasy, but then does them in a way that's just, I've never seen or read anything like it. And I picked up the second book, and right away it started so good. And oh my gosh. So not only am I hoping to read The Bitter Twins, I want to read the third one as well, if I can before the end of the year. We'll see. I recently picked up the second book in the Queens of Renthia series. The first one will be Queen of Blood. Has an amazing forest setting, and the forest is very malicious, which is really cool. If you like a good setting in your fantasy book, this one has one of the best settings that I've ever come across. I liked the second book more than the first, but I don't know if that's necessarily how everyone feels, but either way, I'm really excited to hopefully finish the trilogy out with the third book, Queen of Sorrow. After that, we have Sword of Kaigen, which is going to be a buddy read with Jessie from the channel Jessie May. She invited me to guest host on her book club, and so I'm going to be guest hosting with her for Sword of Kaigen. I'm so excited. One of my favorite Bookstagram accounts, Brenda. I'm so sorry, Brenda. I don't know if that's like your actual name on Instagram, but I will have her Bookstagram linked. It's gorgeous, and she often has very similar reading tastes to me, but introduces me to things that I'm looking forward to. So if you're looking for a great Bookstagram account, check them out. They loved Sword of Kaigen, so I can't wait. Next up are some books that I'm hoping to pick up when it gets really cold, and they would be Salt to the Sea and Between Shades of Grey. These two books, I believe, are actually interwoven, and there's a character whose cousin, I think, exists in the other book. They're historical fiction. They take place, I believe, in Central and Eastern European. That's the setting, but during one of the world wars. We also have a couple of books that I did a You Choose My TBR and you helped me pick, and those would be Woven in Moonlight, which is a Bolivian-inspired fantasy story, and then we also have Warrior of the Wild, which I thought was just historical fiction about Vikings, but I believe it's actually fantasy, but Viking-esque. Another You Choose My TBR winner is The Knife of Never Letting Go. I have heard that this is such a hard-hitting series that it's so interesting in how it's written. I can't wait for this one. I was a little nervous about it when I heard initially how it's written, because the character can hear other people's thoughts, and so that's kind of done in the actual writing, and also the character doesn't read, if I'm not mistaken, and so there are things that are kind of misspelled throughout the book, and so the approach is very different, but I've heard that it just kind of amplifies the feeling of everything, which I'm really excited for. A couple of other books that I feel will be perfect when it gets cold are The Bear and The Nightingale. This is a story that I will likely still give the second and third ones a try, even if I don't love the first one, because I have heard that the trilogy gets a lot better after the first. And then Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. I did not care for Uprooted, but I did like the first book in her Temeraire series. However, I have heard a lot of people say, even if you didn't love Uprooted, which is more closely aligned as far as writing styles go to Spinning Silver than Temeraire is, I've heard even if you didn't love Uprooted that there's still a good chance you'll like Spinning Silver. And then last on the list, finally, would be Jade City and hopefully Jade War. These covers are green and red, which is Christmas colors, so I really want to read these right around Christmas time. I don't think there's anything else about these that make them Christmassy at all, except for the colors of the covers, but I'm still so ready. I know my friend Joshana has liked it. I know Mina from Mina Reads has liked it. I know so many people who have really enjoyed this story, so fingers crossed that I enjoy it too. In order to read all of those, I have to read quite a bit and be very diligent, but unless any other crazy events happen in my life the next 2 months, I actually think I can totally do it. I'm very excited. I'm very determined. I am so tired of so many things going wrong in my life. I'm very ready to just get stuff done. I'm so ready to get stuff done. I can't wait for so many of these, like all the books, that's why they're on this list. I can't wait to pick up all of these books. Let me know if there are any books from this list that you are also wanting to pick up, if you've read, what your thoughts were on them. Let me know what some of your must-read books are for the end of the year. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to check out Byzans, and I'll see you guys later.